Hey guys, so this is going to be the beginning of videos that I'm going to start making. I've had quite a few people ask me what kind of gear that I use, what stuff that I choose to run at the tactical games. So this is just a kind of an intro video to kind of show what I use kind of over the time that I've started. So since 2019, what I started with and what I've ended up with at this point, kind of just a rough gear. I guess we'll work from the bottom up. So I have a really wide foot, between a 2 and a 4E foot. So that makes it very difficult for me to try and find something that's comfortable and that I can actually wear, that doesn't just blow out in the seams or make my feet go numb. I've tried a bunch of different stuff, but I've landed with Ultras. This is their Lone Peak Mid. I also have like ankle stability issues, so I like having a taller, not super tall, but they're mid, I find, but they're lightweight. They have good traction, good tread. I've ran them in the mud, in Meridian, and I've run them almost every type of terrain. They don't hold up great for rope climbs, but everything else they do really, really well for. I did the 12-mile ruck in these at the national championships last year. I've ran miles in them, just about everything you could ask. Really like these. I think this is my 4th set of these, and until I find something else that's better, honestly, these things are awesome. Really, really like them.
He's the best. I love it.
For pants, 511 Apex pants, because they're comfortable, they flex, and they don't restrict me in any way. I used Tactical Distributors Carlos Ray pants. I bought a pair of those in 2019, and I still have that pair, and they're great. Recently, they started doing these kind of skinnier jean fits.
When you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants in your room. It's for fun.
I'm gonna stick with those 511s. Victos has some really cool pants that I'm trying out right now. I'm playing around with those. So I'm gonna see how those work out. Then going up to my belt, I got an initial G-Code Scorpion low vis system, and that has an inner and outer belt system. It's not a super rigid belt, which is okay for me. I don't necessarily need something to be super, super rigid. I like it to move when I move. So I like the fact that I have flexibility with this, but it's not so flimsy that it buckles and it doesn't hold the way I need it to. So it's a good mixture in between. It's like a Goldilocks rigidity there. The other thing that I like about the G-Code Scorpion system is the ability to quickly modify your setup, and you just do it with their locking system on their Scorpion. The thing that I do like about this, that a lot of the other belts, they have a separation in between, so this is a solid loop. It makes it easier trying to get in, and when you're trying to weave it in and weave it out. When you have that separation in there, I feel like it gets snagged a lot. Just a pain. So the G-Code also makes these soft shell Scorpion pouches, and obviously they came with a system. I've used a few other types of pouches, and they work great, but honestly, when these I've been using these since 2019 when I first started, and honestly I have no reason to try anything else. So if it's working, I don't replace it, and I really like it. You can choose your tension, and I've never had a magazine fall out. The only thing that did happen to me was when I transitioned from using a Glock to Staccato, like a 2011. The magazines are a lot longer than a Glock. So I had to go, they have a short and a tall pistol pouch. I had to go to the tall pistol pouches for the 2011 magazines because they would get snatched out only because of the length. There was just too much that was exposed there. But I've used 20 round and 30 round magazines for the rifle. No issues there. So I was using a Blackhawk Omnivore holster for when I first got the Staccato because there really weren't a lot of options for the XL. So because of that, I ended up going with the recommendation to use the Blackhawk, and it was fine. Meridian of this year, it got ripped off. It got broke, so I found that it was just sticking a little too far off of the belt. Fine. I used Safariland holsters before that, and I really wanted to go back. So then I found the Safariland Pro Fit for the XL, and I use their interchangeable fork system. So it's nice if you do need to use if you want to train with another holster, another firearm, something else, you can swap it out. But I found that this GLS, I just used this at GTI, and I found that it really, and one, it has great retention. I think Safariland has the best retention out there. But I found that it was very, very tucked in and close to my person. I found that it didn't feel like it was sticking off of me as sometimes other holsters felt. And the other issue was that in the past, when you do farmer's carries, you know, if the holster does stick up a little too high or too far out, that it would, at least on the 2011, you have a really sharp rear sight, kind of like it's a Dawson rear sight. Whether I mean, there's plenty of other pistols that use those. SIG uses them. You can get them on Glock, but it's pretty sharp, and so it would cut my forearm. But this keeps it just like a perfect height and a perfect tucked in, and really, really happy with it. Really happy that I ended up finding this solution for me personally. Uses, you know, just a Cobra head belt. Nothing crazy. A lot of people use this, so that's my belt. I started using a 511 plate carrier because that's what I use for CrossFit, and I still have that plate carrier because it is very comfortable when you're running and doing long distances. So I keep 20 pounds in the 511 carrier that I do CrossFit with, and then I train with. And then for competition, I ended up, when the tactical games actually started offering a tailored option that was minimalist for the tactical games, I ended up purchasing one of those, and they use RX Plus plates that are made specifically for this, and it gets you straight to that 15-pound weight or 12-pound weight for the females. This is a very good option. It's perfect weight, and it's minimalist. It doesn't get snagged. When we were doing rope climbs, I was able to get my legs just a little bit higher. With the 511, it bunched up at the bottom, whereas this one allowed a little more freedom. It's not as bulky, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I really like it. I've used it 4 times now, I think it's 4 times, 3 or 4 times. So really happy with this. Javelin Concepts is the maker of it, and they have other good options as well. So Javelin Concepts and the RX Plus plates that are in there. So here's the one that people usually ask a lot about. So the on the rifle, so at the heart of it, I'm using Ballistic Advantage receiver set, lower and upper. I'm using on this particular one, I'm using a Ballistic Advantage 13.7 Hansen barrel. So Vortex Viper PST2 1-6, and just like it's the Vortex quick detach mount. I'm using a Radian charging handle. This one has a Geisley SDE trigger. I like a Bravo Company Mod 3 grip. I find that it gives you a more vertical grip, but it's also fatter because I have bigger hands. So it allows it to feel my hand better, so I don't feel like I'm swallowing the grip, and it gives me a funky purchase. So I find that just a little bit wider grip helps me a lot. I use a B5 Bravo stock. I really like this because it's one of the only stocks that I know of that has anti-rotation spots for the QD. So I tried 3 or 4 different Magpul stocks, which I like the stocks, but the QD slots are not anti-rotation, and so my sling would get twirled up, and if you're slinging your rifle on and off and you're moving and you have to get it off in a hurry, that just destroys your presentation and trying to move it. Now Magpul does make an anti-rotation M-lock mount that's up in the front, so they do make those. I'm using a Magpul QDM, I believe these are. So I like these because the normal QDs have a push button in the back. I like these because they're on the side, and it really minimizes the chances of something accidentally detaching the QD. So with this being a 13.7, what I ended up doing is I went with a Dead Air 3-prong to give me a just over 16-inch overall length, and then you permanently affix it. So that makes it a rifle. I am using an Emissary Development handbrake. And then I've used a couple different slings. I started off with the Lunar Concepts contour sling, and if you're going to be running a long distance with the rifle, I really like that sling. It doesn't cut into your neck, and it does provide you a really good angle to if you have to move with your rifle for a very long period of time. I really like that. The only downside to that rifle sling is that if you're slinging it around and you're moving through transitions a lot, that pad can get snagged on a lot of stuff, at least in my experience. So if I go for a minimalist sling, I like the Edgar Sherman design sling. The only thing that happened with me on the Edgar Sherman was their pull tab ripped off at this last competition in GTI. So I'll probably just come back with some 550 cord. Is what it is. I mean, kind of hard on my stuff. So I mean, that's really the only bad thing I got to say about this. Other than that, I really like the Edgar Sherman design. Both of the slings are about 50 bucks, something along those lines. So it's not crazy in the price. So I was really curious about trying something a little bit shorter, a little more compact, and I really like the length of the 13.7. I think they just came out with the 13.9. My preferred barrel from them is definitely going to be their premium fluted in a 223 wild chamber. So hopefully they'll bring that one back. This one is the Hansen. Both are great, but I guess I just have my preference with that fluted. So that's it. So if you have any questions, you can ask them down below, or if you have any other topics that you want. So I have a few other ones that I'm going to be working on that people have asked, so I'll drop those later. But like I said, this is just a kind of a down and dirty intro in the first one. So, all right, thanks a lot.